At the same time, he kept hitting his hands, knocking Panming unconscious, then waking up with 2 slaps and then hitting. Panming's old classmates looked at each other dumbfounded, and no one dared to come up and stop, while Jacob was so excited that he could get revenge, making him excited. Seeing that Panming was almost about to be beaten to death by Jones Jian, Charlie stopped and said, "If you do, don't beat people to death. I want him to spend the rest of his life in prison." Jones Jian hurriedly stopped. When he got up from Panming, he still did not forget to spit at him and cursed in disgust. "Old dog, you still want to harm me? If it wasn't for Mr. Charlie's kind heart, I would have to kill you today." After speaking, he knelt on the ground in a hurry, crawling on his knees all the way to Charlie, begging, "Mr. Charlie, are you satisfied with my performance just now? Can you spare my life? Please." Charlie nodded and said, "It's okay to spare your life, but the death penalty can be avoided, and the living sin is hard to forgive." Jones Jian hurriedly asked, "Mr. Charlie, how can you forgive me?" Charlie smiled and said, "Do you remember what I told you before? Let you be prepared to go to the construction site to carry cement for 20 years? Jones Jian collapsed suddenly, crying and said, "Mr. Charlie, I don't want to go to the construction site. I beg you to let me listen to you. Just forgive me this time. From now on, I will be your dog. I will do what you ask me." Charlie nodded and said with a playful smile, "Okay." Jones Jian excitedly said, "Thank you, Mr. Charlie. Thank you, Mr. Charlie." Charlie smiled and said, "I haven't finished yet, don't thank me in such a hurry." After speaking, he smiled and asked, "Aren't you going to be my son? You can do whatever I ask you to do? Then I will let you go to the construction site to carry cement. When will you carry it for 20 years? You are free." Huh? Jones Jian almost collapsed. At this time, Charlie said to Orville, "Mr. Orville, find a construction site, tie him a dog chain, let him carry cement on the construction site every day. When will he carry it for 20 years, and then will he leave? If he dares to run away, just kill the dog and feed him to the dogs." Orville immediately nodded and said, "Mr. Wade, don't worry, I have several construction sites in Orus Hill, and I will definitely find him the most painful and tiring one." "Good," Charlie said with satisfaction. "Let him work and reflect on it." Jones Jian cried and said, "Mr. Charlie, 20 years are too long. Please raise your hand and shorten it a bit. Otherwise, my whole life will be over." Charlie said coldly, "Don't bargain with me. There were a father and son before, because they pretended to be too much. Now they have gone to Changbai Mountain to dig ginseng, and they must not leave Changbai Mountain for the rest of their lives. If you continue to bargain with me, I will arrange for someone to take you there." Orville also said coldly at this time, "Jones Jian, I persuade you to accept your fate. The 2 men who went to Changbai Mountain last time were driven by my younger brother. They drove for 3 days and 3 nights before reaching the foot of Changbai Mountain. Moreover, it has just entered winter, and it's already freezing. It's over 20 degrees below zero outside, and 7 or 8 degrees below zero in the house. The 2 of you will freeze to death. Even the firewood on the Kong must be brought from the mountain. It is said that in 7 to 9 days, it will be more than -40 degrees outside, and you can directly freeze the pea into ice skewers. If you want to try, I will arrange it for you now." Jones Jianyi heard that he was scheduled to go to Changbai Mountain to dig ginseng for a lifetime. He was so frightened that he hurriedly cried and said, "Don't, Mr. Orville, I accept my fate. I accept my fate. I'm going to the construction site to carry cement, not Changbai Mountain to dig ginseng." Jones Jian has completely accepted his fate. Compared to digging ginseng in the snow of Changbai Mountain for a lifetime, being able to carry cement at the construction site in Orus Hill is already extremely easy. At least, he can still live in the city, go home, and have a basic amateur life. When he arrives at Changbai Mountain, it will completely be over for a lifetime. Seeing that he had accepted his fate, Orville snorted and said, "You are already lucky. Otherwise, I will take you directly to my kennel to feed the dogs today." Jones Jian hurriedly nodded and said with gratitude, "Thank you, Mr. Charlie, for raising your hand." "Thank you, Mr. Orville." Mr. Orville directly opposed the people under him and said, "Go, take him to the construction site in Jintan County, let him eat and live with the workers on the construction site, and take 2 days off each month." "Yes, Mr. Orville." Mr. Orville's 2 men immediately dragged Jones Jian out. Orville pointed at Panming, who was dying on the ground, and asked Charlie, "Mr. Wade, what about this old immortal?" Charlie said lightly, "The police will come and arrest him soon." As soon as the voice fell, a team of police rushed in and asked loudly, "Who is Panming?" Jacob hurriedly pointed to Panming, who was lying on the ground, and said, "Comrade police, he is." The police came to the front, compared the photos with them, and blurted out, "It's him, take him away." The man next to him asked, "Captain, this person has been injured and unconscious. What should we do?" "Send to the hospital first." The team leader said, "After the first aid, he will be detained." Joki, one of his old classmates, hurriedly asked, "Comrade police, what crime did Panming commit?" The police rightfully said, "Panming is suspected of occupation and illegal profits totaling more than 50 million. The crowd was in an uproar. No one thought that Panming, as the leader of a petrochemical company, would have already received very high salaries, and he even used the convenience of his position to earn money for himself.